Hello and welcome to the Rum Revival. My name is Arminder, and today we're talking about this new rum from Grandeur. This is their cane harvest, and it's an unaged molasses rum from Panama. And this might be your new go-to daiquiri rum. Maybe. Now, first up, full disclosure that Grandeur offered to send over this bottle to me, and I said yes, so definitely keep that in mind as you're watching this video. When I first heard about this rum, I was pretty intrigued by it because it was yet another unaged molasses rum, and it seems like we're getting a bit of an uptick in those kind of rums, and frankly, I am totally here for that. So this is made in the western province of Daiquiri in Panama. It's made at Central Industrial Chiricana, which is the name of the distillery. It's made from estate-grown molasses that goes through a 36-hour fermentation. And then in terms of distillation, it's a heavy distillate off of a column still. Now what that means is instead of running the rum multiple times through the column still to kind of further refine it or to proof it up, this rum is solely from the first distillation run. So in theory, it'll retain more of the flavors of the source material and those that were created during the fermentation process. Now this particular bottling is proofed down to 48% ABV, and in terms of pricing, I've seen it online between like $34 to $38. And it's worth noting that this is a full liter bottle. So if we're talking purely like ABV to price to like quantity of rum that you're getting, it seems like a fairly good deal. And if you want further detail and background on the rum and on Grandeur, check out the Rumcast interview with the founder of Grandeur, Dan Dehart. I'll link to it in the description down below. Definitely worth a watch and a listen. So enough talking about the rum, let's give it a taste. So first things first, definitely get a floral quality here, a lot of flowers. Then there's a note of vanilla, maybe even like a little bit of a like vanilla custard. And there is a faint, slightly sharp hint of, I don't know, something like a pineapple, you know, and also like a very faint, sharp cherry note. In a way, if we're talking like pineapples and vanilla custard and cherries, I think I've just described a pineapple upside down cake. I'm not saying that this smells like what that tastes like, but you know, those list of ingredients kind of come together to make a pineapple upside down cake. So there you go. I gotta say, I really enjoyed the aroma here. It's very delightful. The floral note, the vanilla, that little sharp hint of like fruit, just enjoyable. All right, let's give it a taste. Cheers. So first things first, it does not taste like a pineapple upside down cake. Fortunately or unfortunately, I guess, depending on where you land on that. But what I am getting, the first thing that is very noticeable, and the thing I want to firstly acknowledge is the mouthfeel. It's this like medium mouthfeel. It's very very creamy. And flavor-wise, the first thing that kind of jumps out is this like a earthy honey note, which is often a note that I'll pick up in other unaged molasses rums. On the back end, there is this buildup to these notes of rocks and minerals, and it kind of has this like slightly dull flavor of slightly bitter kind of medicine, something like that. Now, as a neat pour, that kind of bit of medicine might be a bit jarring or a bit of an appealing note for some people, but I think it kind of might be necessary to kind of prevent the rum from feeling too one note or veering too much in the direction of like richness. Now, in terms of what I think of it, I don't hate it, but I'm also not like blown away by it. Like it's good enough, you know, but I think its main kind of appeal as a neat sipper will be that mouthfeel, which is nice. But when it comes to unaged molasses rums, there are others out there that are maybe a bit more thrilling and a little bit more engaging to drink, kind of due to the maybe bolder fermentation flavors. So I don't know if I'm necessarily gonna find myself reaching for this as a neat pour. But frankly, I don't know if any of that really matters because I don't know if this was really produced to be just like a sipping rum, right? Like in their marketing, Grandeur is positioning this as a cocktail rum, right? So of course, since this is a white rum, the way to ultimately judge this is to ask the question, how does it do in a daiquiri? Well, luckily, I just happen to have one right here off screen. Oh, and for the record, I always have an emotional support daiquiri off screen at all times because you never know when you might need one. Anyways, cheers, folks. Okay, so the first thing that I notice, is the body and the mouthfeel. This is creamy, and you get some vanilla quality coming through on the taste. It tastes richer without being cloying, you know? And you get the lime, but it's not a lime-forward daiquiri that you might get if you were using more of a straightforward white rum that was 40% ABV, like a Flor de Caña 4-year or Don Q Cristal. And I know people might say that those kind of daiquiris made with those kind of rums, those are balanced, but I don't really think they are. Like the lime tends to dominate a bit too much for my personal preference when using those kind of rums. Now this feels like real balance to me. Every ingredient is in check and each seems to support and bolster the other. And look, it's not rummy and it's not necessarily even boozy, even though it's 48% ABV. And while, yeah, I did mention that I was getting vanilla, it doesn't feel like I'm getting that directly from the rum. I think it's more coming from a combination of the rum and the cane syrup. And if I'm being honest, I can't quite pinpoint the flavor of the rum in this daiquiri, but in a weird way, I absolutely know that it's there and it's present and it's providing all that creaminess and the structure, if that makes sense. So ultimately, what this does is create a daiquiri that is not flashy and frankly, maybe not a daiquiri that is all about the rum, but what it is about all those three ingredients, the rum, the lime, and the sugar coming together to create a really balanced experience. In a way, this is, to me, like the, I don't know, platonic ideal of a traditional daiquiri. The kind of daiquiri that a daiquiri purist might get really excited about, where it's all about the whole complete package in a very kind of clean daiquiri, an elegant and restrained yet tasty daiquiri. So if that's your kind of daiquiri, then this might be your kind of rum. Now, the platonic ideal is great and all, but for me, what can I say? I do like a little romance, and here's the thing. My taste buds, like my soul, are dead inside. So when it comes to daiquiris and other cocktails, I kind of like to be clobbered over the head with the taste of rum. Subtlety and balance are sometimes kind of lost on me. All that to say that when it comes to daiquiris, the ones that I particularly crave and enjoy are the ones made with a bolder tasting rum. Whether it's an unaged cane juice rum or an unaged overproof Jamaican rum, or maybe a multi-country blend of lightly aged rums that have maybe some small amount of higher ester Jamaican rum in it, kind of like a Probitas or a 10-to-1 white. Now in all of those scenarios, the rumminess kind of punches through and you very clearly notice and focus on it when you're drinking it. Probably not balanced, probably not traditional, but the heart wants what it wants. So if you're dead inside like I am and you like your daiquiris to be more rum forward, then I don't necessarily think this is going to be your jam. Now I do think I appreciate it intellectually for what it's doing in the daiquiri, but I'm probably not going to reach for it given all of the other rums at my disposal. That being said, it did serve as a pretty good base for splashing in a quarter or half ounce of a bolder rum like Rumfire. So if you want to do that extra work, and that might not seem like extra work for you, but sometimes having to grab an extra bottle for me feels like extra work. So if you want to do that extra work of grabbing another bottle, then that's always an option for you. But for the purposes of this video, I'm focusing just on like single bottle solutions for daiquiris. So that's kind of where I landed. Now you might be looking at this bottle and saying, well, for someone who isn't as wild about this rum, you sure went through a lot of it. And that's true, I did. See, I had some folks over at the house and they weren't necessarily like super into rum or cocktails like we are, but I made them a bunch of daiquiris with this and they really enjoyed them. And I even made some frozen strawberry daiquiris with it and they really liked those. The higher ABV, I think, and the body really kind of created a richer frozen daiquiri experience. But any flavor of the rum seemed to be masked by the strawberry, the chill, and the ice. Now, they didn't really mind that at all, but I was missing my usual kind of higher proof, wild fermented cane juice rums that I like to use in frozen daiquiris. Like those flavors definitely cut through all of the chill and all of the ice, and you can definitely taste it kind of on the back end. This didn't have that, and I just kind of missed it. But they, again, loved it. So there is my video on the Grander Cane Harvest. Now, what I'd like to know is, what is your kind of go-to bottle to make a daiquiri? And do you prefer your daiquiris to be balanced, or do you like the rum to dominate? Let me know by leaving a comment down below. And if you want to further support this channel, then check out my Patreon page where I have a bunch of exclusive content that I think you might like. And if you sign up for one of the paid tiers, you get access to the Rum Revival Discord server, which is a fun community of rum lovers that love to talk about rum. We kind of share what we're drinking at the moment, cocktail recipes. We also share kind of retail links. If we find a retailer that has a brand new rum out in the market or a rum that's discounted, we'll share those links so people can jump on those deals. So come out and hang out with us there on the Discord. And Thank you so much for watching. Catch y'all next time. Cheers. I spilled a little bit on my pants. Awesome.